All right. There we go. Countdown's done. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Explorers Expresso. Let's go ahead and bring this down and give you, because we're not doing it next, we're doing it now. We're doing it now. There we go. Dan Vaughn with you. There's been a debate in sportscasters circles, which I sort of guess I follow, and the sportscaster play-by-play journalist circles. Do you call yourself in first person, or do you call yourself the voice of the team? Now, there are a lot of hardcore Johnny broadcasters would tell you no. I'm not that vain. Others will tell you yes, but there's probably a majority with what I've told that think calling yourself the voice of a team is sort of not cool. What am I? What am I? So I will disagree. I am the voice of the Sioux City Explorers. So there, I said it once, because you're probably wondering, who is this guy? Who's this guy just chatting? Well, I'm the play-by-play voice that does the broadcast on the radio and the TV. Is that what you're supposed to say? And there was a real thread about this, a real big thread about this I saw on a sportscaster's, Johnny Broadcaster's blog this week. I was like, what are you supposed to say? Should I let somebody else introduce me? Should I let somebody come and log in and introduce me to this? Anyway, glad you guys are along today. Off day yesterday. Let me bring this up. Off day yesterday. We are at Hawks this morning, or this afternoon. Morning for me, afternoon for you. And I've got the Explorers Espresso right here from July. They've got an August drink coming out. I saw on Facebook today. It's going to have coconut in it, and that may get me fired up. It's their August drink of the month, and I love coconut and love coconut coffee, which is a real coconut's a refreshing water anyway, refreshing fruit. It doesn't seem like that, but the coconut water is really good for you. Like I'm a doctor or something. Play one on TV. Anyway, glad you guys are along today. I won't be very long. We don't have a lot to talk about. I had this big plan of going back to look back at Friday and Saturday's walk-offs. But then I realized that was more for me than it was for you guys, because knowing my history, in case you guys don't know my history, I spent 17 through 22 in the Kansas City booth, both the T-Bones and the Monarchs. So beating them is always delicious. Walking them off is even more delicious. I have a lot of friends still there that I still care about, but like we talked about Nate Sampson, wanting to beat his mates or the old mates, the old friends. Well, not that I had anything to do with it. I had zero to do with the game, but I wanted to beat the old mates, right? You want to beat the old mates. So winning twice and winning the season series, you've won all three series against the team that's probably going to be a favorite to win the title, and you've won 3 series. And granted, you've done it probably playing your most scary baseball, meaning really, really good pitching, really good bullpen work, and just enough offense to put Kansas City in a bind because your pitching was that much better than theirs. And anyway, so for me, I was going to play the highlights and run them all back. I was all excited about doing those yesterday. I thought, I'm going to spend 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour doing that when I could actually do some stuff on the website, which I did that instead. So if you go to the website now, you see we have a broadcast page now with broadcast links. And a link to this show, also on the bottom of the page. So anyway, which we have links to the Facebook page anyway on our website, but I just thought I would. So anyway, I realized that if I played the highlights, I was playing them more for me, not for you guys, although it's cool to look back and look at them, but really it's more for me just to kind of, in case a Kansas City person did a drive-by, they would see me dancing on their their demise. So, anyway, I would never do that. Never do that. Anyway, okay, off day yesterday. Team has won 2 of 3. After the Winnipeg series sort of seems to be turning the corner. August is here. It's the dog days of August. What do you want to call it? Um, been a pretty good month over the years, save maybe last year, because that was really September, that situation. But over the years, been pretty good. Sioux City obviously has been the postseason more times than not, and that's come from the August runs. Um, I think there's a few things to be obviously there's a few things to be worked out. Like I asked you guys yesterday, last Thursday, what do you like? What do you don't like? And I think it's pretty simple. What we do like, and we talked about it with Connor Ryan on Sunday, the pitching staff is deep, the rotation's deep. You get the deepest rotation in the league. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, granted, is Brian Holmberg probably the ace of the Lincoln staff? Absolutely. Is he probably the best in the league? Probably so. But outside of that, would you take his staff behind him, what Brett Jody's got, or would you take what Steve Montgomery's got here as a collective? And I would tell you, I would take the collective. Because if you've got a guy that can go toe-to-toe with Holmberg, which you do, got 5 of those guys, and you're able to get one ball in the ballpark, scratching the run, and they only scratch out one, you win that ball game against the best pitcher they got. And that's the recipe for this ball club. So, again, yes, need a big August. Casey, you're right on, man. And June was not good, right? Casey, it wasn't good. July started well. You had that big sweep here at home. You won every ball game. You won the 8 games. And then you kind of got sort of cough. You kind of just sort of sputtered along. The Winnipeg series was a mess. You didn't rebound against Lincoln at home. You did rebound, though, to win the series against Kansas City going to August. And now you're going to get an opportunity. Get Fargo, a team you've also beaten twice now. And now you get them at your own ballpark. You haven't had them yet. You got to go back up there again next week. But you got a real good chance here to really thank you very much, Kevin. Very kind of you. Kevin says the betcha should walk-off call as a goosebump inducing outside of your championship calls, top 5 call for you. The walk-off winner on Sunday here in May was pretty good, and I can tell you that because I remember calling, and I remember Katie Brewer, who works for us and phenomenal, baseball guru. She was in the booth as well, or in the press box, and that whole crew there, I think, saw me because I was going nuts because we'd swept Kansas City. That would be a memorable one. There was a walk-off that Jan Hernandez had on a Sunday. I believe it was against Winnipeg. I think that's right. Or was it Fargo? One of the two. And there was also the Monday Labor Day game last year. And then 2 years ago, there was a game in Cleburne that wasn't a walk-off. But, yeah, I would say so. The game, for me personally in my career, Kevin, the 2018, this is going to bring up some bad memories, but the 2018 game clincher or series clincher here was big. In a series you weren't expected to win, you did, and that's what makes the postseason great. But yeah, I appreciate it, man. It was good. What's fun about that is that you had those walk-offs. I would tell you, I felt better about Friday night than I did about Saturday. I'm sorry, yeah. I felt better about Saturday than Friday. Friday, although the numbers were high for their closer, I just felt sort of like, okay, we just haven't, I felt more confident of the walk. I wasn't not confident. I felt like there was obviously you get runners aboard. When the Lloyd did that double, I knew once the Lloyd's double went down the line, I knew we were in business. I knew we were going to play on for sure. But oftentimes, when you're in those situations, and if you're in the 7th inning and you're up by 6 and you think you had a chance to win a championship, you're already going in your head what you're going to say, right? Well, and a guy that tells you he doesn't do that is full of S because they all do that. The funny thing about broadcasters are, and I'm the anti-broadcaster, because I will tell you the truth. I mean, oh, I don't cheer for the team, or I don't practice. I don't think what I might say. Yes and no. Yes and no. I know everybody wants to have a good championship call because they know it's going to be played over and over again, right? But in a general of a game like Friday and Saturday, you can't in your head think about what you're going to say because you're trying just to get you're trying to pull the team to the inning. So that's why I like those walk-off calls in those situations because you don't know they're coming. And if that was a walk-off call in a championship game, you don't know they're coming. When you know they're coming, it's easy. When you're Jim Nance and it's this guy's got like a 10 hole a 10 stroke lead in the Masters, you know what you're going to say, right? Final four, he already knows what his one shining moment's going to be when the team's up by 20. Now, if it was a 1 point game, different story. That's why I love those walk-offs because you don't really your brain has got so many things going on, especially at our level because you're controlling the computer. We have the radio station, but I still control the spots. So I'm controlling breaks, levels, making sure that everything's still going, and you've got all that, and you're also trying to write things down in your scorebook, trying to make sure you got those things going on right, and you're also describing the ball game. So your head is doing a bunch of different things at one time, and to plan out calls. So I love I love those because of spontaneity, and I always like it's a challenge to me as in the craft. Again, the challenge to me in the craft is to sound authentic and to sound like you didn't write it down at lunch over a cocktail napkin, right? And that's the challenge. And I think a lot of times, some people will tell you, "Oh, I don't practice," but we all do. We all have our dream calls, but at the same time, and it's funny because I was telling Jack Michaels and I were talking about this recently. I was in Fargo about home run calls and all that, and there was an article even about up there the paper up there about his home run call about the Marge thing and all that, and how John Dietrich had asked him to do a home run call, and there's asking somebody to do it on command is like it's not that easy. There's a lot of emotion that goes into it. But anyway, appreciate it. Howdy from me and Jack. The clean out is done. If you guys only knew what was going on in my house right now in Dallas, I'm just shaking my head at my wife because ridiculous. You almost broke my laptop. Sorry about that, Mom. I broke my laptop going to Winnipeg, so there's that. Excuse me. Nice extra inning game, Casey says. Maybe get over the hump. Yeah, this came up today on another fan chat, and I don't think they're related, but I thought I'd bring it up. Casey kind of brings it up. Extra inning wise, we are. Let me pull this up for you here. Extra frames this year, we are 4-6. 10 extra inning ball games. The question was being asked: does the extra inning ball games or losses or whatever are those related to the pitch clock? And I would tell you no. I don't think they're a byproduct. The only way I would think it'd be a byproduct would be the way managers use their bullpen, say 7th, 8th inning, 9th inning, where maybe before, but even then you're still trying to get it done in 9, right? But knowing that you've got only, the way the tiebreaker works, you're not going to play 20 innings. You're probably likelier to bring your closer in earlier than you would before. And I don't know if that really shortens the ball games or not. I don't know, but I don't think they're related at all. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna look some stats up today to see when I get in. But yeah, the extra inning ball games, and remember too, Casey, they all came so early, and they all came very early. And that's what I was talking about over the weekend. That Sean Rakowski, the closer for the X's, I think is the best closer in the league. Now, granted, Daniel Bees of King County's got a better ERA, but he's had multiple situations where he's had a runner at second in extra innings. Of those 10 ball games, 6 of those he had a runner at second base. And in 6 of those ball games, they scored multiple runners. Remember, the first runner is unearned, right? The first run that comes in from second is unearned on the closer or on the pitcher. But let's say that guy gets a double behind him and that other guy scores, that run's earned. So Rakowski had some earned and unearned run ups and downs early and his ERA is still sub 3. It's about 2.19, something like that. and all came early. I mean, his numbers have been phenomenal. And I don't think people realize that. Granted, he doesn't have the 19, 20 or saves, but his numbers are as good as anybody. I don't think we've talked about as much about that. We've talked more about what the team needs in the seventh, eighth inning spots, not what they've got in the ninth. So if you've got two pieces of the puzzle, ninth inning and 1 through 6 in, maybe 1 through 7, you can get anything in the seventh and eighth inning. This club's got a real good chance to have a great August, Casey. So get back to that. Let's see here. What they're cleaning out. My wife is the youngest is going to Japan tomorrow. So and she would just come from college last May, a year ago. So she's got all that stuff and just a lot of crap. And my office, which is next door to her room, upstairs in our house, has been sort of the staging area for this move. And when I was home a month ago, 2 weeks ago, there was already crap in there. So, all right, let's see. Where were we? No, Chris, I will ask the folks here about chocolate chat. The owners aren't here. When the owners are here, I'll ask. I will ask. Chris has got a great idea for a chocolate cherry cold brew. It sounds great. Sounds delicious. Let's see here. What else we got here? Yeah, extra inning games. And, I mentioned too, Casey, at the same time that we were talking about extra inning games, the one-run games had been a problem too. But suddenly, until last week, you lost a couple of those, but you'd really ratchet that up to get close to 500. What are we there? We're 12 and 16, so not great. But remember, one time this team was 1-8 in one-run ball games. I mean, and eventually, we talked about too the 0 for 26 with after 8 innings. Eventually, you're going to win a comeback game. You can't play 100 games of baseball. You're not going to win. You're going to come back, 30 times. But you could come back, maybe you might have 10 comeback wins and you out of 20. That's pretty good, 500% of the time, 50% of the time. And comebacks, seventh inning comebacks. But this team had done none of that, seventh, eighth, or ninth. And the walk-off winners, 2 of those had come in extra innings. Only 1 had come during the 9 innings. That was on Friday. So, they're starting to see some things like that. But, again, going forward, I think the one thing to watch is how this team addresses that seventh, eighth inning stretch. Who's that going to be? Who's going to step up? Is it going to be, with the rotation perhaps healthy now with Weatherby, who, by the way, pitched great on Sunday? You've got now Weatherby back, top of the car, expected to come back. And I've got no official word yet, but my gut is probably this weekend. But we'll find out from Steve Montgomery tonight when we have him on the pregame show. You've got, obviously, Verberg, Solomon, which he may walk in here any moment now, whom I'm missing, Drury. Then, Heitar Tokar, you got to mention him too. I mean, his numbers are around 5, but his starting numbers are hovering around below 4. And suddenly, let's just say he comes out, he's the odd man out, obviously, right? But he goes to wrong relief. So does Bagero go to that spot, the 7th? He's had some ups and downs there. The point is maybe get the guys where they're supposed to be originally will be helpful. That's sort of what I'm thinking. But that's item number 1. Number 2, this team still needs either from within or somewhere a bat that you can, for the right side, that is going to be lethal. I think Rando is that guy, but he's still a little hobbled with the knee. I don't think he's hurt 100%, but he's not 100% healthy. I think Rando can be that guy, but he's obviously playing a new position too. But I like what he has to offer, but I think Rando could be that guy. You get one more of those guys, and whether it be, and they don't grow on trees, but another guy, I think Scott Oda's been a great addition. It gives you depth. There's a couple pieces out there. Your left-handed bats have been really good in general. Obviously, you've got Matt Lloyd. He's an all-star, and you've got to have things around him. Another guy that I think has got something, a high ceiling, that when I went back and looked at the numbers was Vince Fernandez. Got off to a great start. Remember a great start he got off to here? 7 RBIs that first weekend. Still leads your team in RBIs. But I think he's a guy that from within, from the left side, can really be lethal as well. So I'm thinking just guys that, that have had kind of up and down Julys. That's a guy right there I think that you could look at and say, okay, he's got some good baseball ahead of him. And I think he does. And I think that's a guy to watch going forward. And here's the key. I think Vince would be much better served with one more stick in the card from the right side, because what that does is you get when we had Nagowski here, for example, he protected both Lloyd and Fernandez and whoever's in the leadout spot, which right now is Oda. And, that extra bat that you have to, it's sort of like looking at Jan Hernandez for Kansas City with Herman in front of him, right? You got Herman from the left side, and you got Jan right there. You can't pitch around any of those two guys. And if one of those two, Wiley or who's the leadoff guy, Herrera, get aboard, you're messing with fire, because you saw that happen when Kansas City got going, when they got leads in the ball game. How did it happen? Because Wiley or Herrera got aboard, and then it would have been Herman who drove a runner around or drove a run home, and then Hernandez was there to clean up the mess and really put you by the screws. When they got leads, which happened twice, that's how they did it, right? That's how they do. That's their attack. I talked to Josh Hines last week about this when we had him on the air on Wednesday in Winnipeg. And he disagreed with me a little bit that I said that this offense has been offensively challenged. He thinks this club, and I think he's right. The more he looks at the numbers, the pedigree's there. Now what you're not being asked to do is score 9 or 10 runs like Sioux Falls. That's not the point. You don't need to score 9 or 10. But you need to be put up 4, 5, 6 on a regular basis. You need 7 here and there, and you need a 4 or 5 spot inning once in a while. And that's sort of what we were talking about. So you're looking at wishful thinking going forward. I think that thing in the 7th, 8th, get that solidified. And I think we'll see Franklin DaCosta. We've seen him now twice. Once really good, once sort of up and down. But once everybody's healthy in the rotation, then you're able to slide, Tokar back to his spot. You're able to slide Peguero where you want to put him. You're able to put DaCosta and Diaz. And Diaz's pitch, that's wild cards. I've seen Carlos Diaz in this league being dominating in August. I mean, the month he put up in August of 2021 into the postseason is September 21. I mean, I watched the guy be unhittable in Fargo. He inherited a mess, and he got out on jam, and basically kept any doubt that Fargo was going to win a series in the postseason. Pretty much snuffed that out. They were done and done. They were down 0-2 going to Kansas City. They were done, and they knew it, because Diaz came in a game that they were trying to tie up and take a lead on. He put the fire out and was phenomenal in both games he pitched there. So, I mean, what you've seen from him has been up and down. But again, I think a lot of what we have, and I'll even go back to a guy, I'll even throw Chase Harris in the mix here. He's been banged up. Chase Harris has been banged up. He's been ran into walls. He's had issues. He had the knee injury. Banged into the bag. He has been banged up because the guy plays 150%. Chase Harris does not. He's going to try to make every play, and that includes going into the wall. That's what he's going to do. And I just think perhaps the better days ahead for all those guys. And sometimes we think about, well, what you really need is the guys you got already to kind of step up. And I think that'll happen because the numbers tell you they will, right? I mean, the numbers tell you they're not going to scuffle in the 220s forever. And it's like we talked about Miguel Sierra about 4 weeks ago. Sierra got his average up over 100 points. Now he's been kind of like that since, but he took a real big ride to get there. Well, if you get a good ride from a couple of guys in August, this offense is going to be really good. So, what happens? I don't know. Let's see here. Hawks has something. Yes, they do. The way we are at Hawks. If Salmon comes in, they have to waive. I'll have him on, but I haven't seen him yet. You'll see him roll in. He's usually here early than late. He's usually a 2-stop guy. I've seen him come in early and late. Vince Fernandez comes in here too. So let's see who else we got here. Yeah, Hawks has got really good treats. They got really good stuff. What's really cool about this place, they got where I'm at here is like a restaurant dining room. It's huge. I mean, this place blows space wise any Starbucks away. Starbucks has got space, but this place has got this whole. I've got seven high top chairs on this bar, and behind me is like this huge room. It's got couches. It's got a lot of tables. You come here on a Saturday morning. Come here on a Saturday morning. This place they'll have people having little Saturday morning brunches and things like that, little parties and things. They got this whole other room to my right where the actual shop is, and they got all the treats. And they have dog treats here too, the puppy dog. And they also got two. They got the ice cream that you scrape and make it like, and you scrape it up, that kind of ice cream. They got that too. So, what do you guys got as we wrap things up here today? A short show. Put this up there for you. There we go. What do you guys got? What do you guys got? What do you guys got? Do you guys have any questions or comments for me? You're going to close out your stretch of teams in the division this week. Fargo's in town. They played really well in Winnipeg. They took 3 or 4. They're playing much better than they were. They're getting healthier. They're not 100% healthy. They're getting healthier. Fargo does have probably, I think, of the division, the second best pitching in the division overall. The numbers don't tell us that, but they're up there. The rotation where I'm talking about. We feeling kind of about Fargo winning. I think 2 or 3 are in order here. I think if you win 2 or 3, I think you feel pretty good of August. You lose this series, I would probably sound a buzzer, a warning sign. I'd probably sign the all hands on deck. But you've got really good matchups, pitching matchups too. Got those here for us. Let's find it here. There we go. They're going to have Jack Dykoff, Kevin McGovern tomorrow. There's the strikeout machine. And then Trey Cumbie, who they just picked up via trade. So 2 lefties. When lefties have – this team hasn't hit lefties bad. That hit them well. But lefties have given this team a little trouble to a degree. So that's one thing to think about. Grauer, who came out of a start early, I don't know what the deal with that. And Kevin, you might know more than I do. What Grauer came out of a start early on Saturday, man, I have no idea because he looked as good as – if Holmberg looked great and Matson looked great for those 2 teams for Lincoln and Kansas City, Grauer looked phenomenal against us last time we saw him. We won't see him this week. But Winnipeg brings the usual suspects. The Sam Dexters of the world, Leo Peñas. I mean, those guys are, they're Manny Biscan. Those are all legitimate, Carl Prime. Those are all guys that have got some skins in the wall, got a title in this league. They're going to be good. This Sioux City team has got a lot of games at home now. You only got, do you realize this? You've got a 6-game road trip next week. You got the up and back with Sioux Falls and the closing road trip. You've only got 3 road swings, one of which you don't even leave the Siouxland. Only got 2 road trips. And granted, the last one comes late, but in around that, you got all these. You've got 2 6-game series here. You have Chicago coming in along with Chicago and Chicago, Milwaukee both come here, and it's I'm trying to think who else. Winnipeg is on one of them, and the other one I'm drawing a blank on the other team coming to town on that 6-gamer. It's got to be Sioux Falls is done, Lincoln's done, Kansas City's done. We go there though. Chicago, Milwaukee, I think Fargo must come back, and then you've also got Winnipeg. Those are the ones you got at home. So a lot of chances here. Let's see here. Dog treats, yes, dog treats for sure. Always a good player, right? Yes, they got little dog treats, little doggy treats. They look good. They actually look like something I would eat. Yes. I think Fargo took a better roster up than we did, and not that our roster is bad, but we only took 17 players, 5 bullpen pieces, and like I told you last week, and this is not a knock on anybody at all, but you probably have a different situation when Trenton Toplicar gets hit last Tuesday. You probably have somebody else come out there right away if you had your whole team there. You also probably weren't. You would have had pitch hitting opportunities. You would have had pitch running opportunities, things like that you could do. You did some things over the weekend because your lineup was deeper. You ran a Delbins in. Daniel Perez hit a home run that didn't play in Winnipeg, right? I mean, Gil Sierra delivered an RBI, winning RBIs. 2 of those guys didn't go with you. So, yeah, we'll find out about winning. It's a tough 6-game series for both teams, but quite frankly, Winnipeg has been different on the road. They have been at home. They have an advantage at home. Even if you go up to Winnipeg and you've got let's bring this down. Let's give me a better wide shot here. If you go up to Winnipeg with a shorter roster, if you're missing 1 or 2 of your best players or 2 regulars, that's an advantage. I don't know what Kansas City went up there with. I don't know what they did up there. But playing a team 6 times is a challenge. Ask Cleveland. I'm telling you, Cleveland's probably 3 or 4 games above 500 if they played a conventional schedule. They don't. Cleveland plays all these 6-game series. In over 6 games, you're going to see a guy, you're going to see the bullpen multiple times. You're going to see one starter twice. You get to know a team's tendencies. And, I mean, you've seen this before, right? It's a game of tendencies. It's a game of research and scouting. And, if you're scouting properly, you're going to be able to, it's a challenge for both teams to play in that situation. So, let's see here. Tough stretch ending. Yes. That's the one thing I'm concerned about, Casey. If there's besides the 2 things the team needs is that last stretch. I was telling this to Kevin Luco, I was telling this to Austin Thomas the other day. I recall a situation in Gary 2014 when the Railcats made a big trade, came to Sioux City and went to Winnipeg. And I think the 14 Sioux City club, this is before Mongo got here. So this is the 14 year. They came here and Gary needed to win. I think they had done a doubleheader and they had, I think it was a 3-game series. Somehow, some way, they didn't manage to win a game. And Sioux City didn't make the postseason that year. And which put the pressure on going to Winnipeg. And what you need to do, you need to finish. If you finish 3-3 on the road trip, you're going to make the postseason. If you finish 2-4, you're probably going to make the postseason. What you didn't want to do is go up there and lose them all or win 1. Well, that's what you did. You won 1. And by the time Sunday got around, everything else had happened against you, and you wound up playing a meaningless game on a Monday in Winnipeg, and that was a real kick in the pants because the year before, Gary had won the championship. We're trying to get back in the postseason again. They had a pretty good team. That team still had Drew Martinez and J.D. Pulfer, who both went on to Laredo. The next year won a championship. It had Henry Wrigley, came over from St. Paul, had a big right-hander. What was his name? Went to win St. Paul. Charlie Rosario went to Winnipeg and won a title. He was there. And one more former Astros AAA guy was a center fielder. I can't remember his name. Was a quarterback in high school in San Diego, Division I prospect. Oh gosh, I'm drawing all these names here, but they were really good. Had a rookie named Alex Crosby, who was playing part time, and he's now playing in the Atlantic League. They had a really good team, and was probably better than the 13 team. Or but they went up there, and again, they didn't get the job done. So I tell you this story, Casey, because you've got that similar situation. And what you don't want to have happen, and this is the good thing about this, Casey, because you won the series against Kansas City, you're not the double pressure, meaning, let's say you go to Kansas City, you got to win 2 or 3 just to, A, to stay even, and B, to have the advantage against them head-to-head. Well, if you already got the head-to-head advantage, it might just take 1 or 3, right? to make sense what I'm saying? Where you go on the road and you got to have 2 or 3 every time. You've got the head-to-head. That pressure is off to a degree because you already have the tiebreaker there. Chicago's the one that's going to be interesting because where are they going to be? Will they be with a chance to win right now if we played Chicago? Yes. If this was Labor Day weekend, game on because Chicago's still got a chance to catch Milwaukee. But will they have that chance in early September? So a lot of it depends on KC. A, yes, travel's tough. Those teams play well on the road. And B, where are those two teams in the standings? If Kansas City's up by 8 games and clinched a playoff spot already and already clinched the division, they're going to be wanting to get guys ready for the next week. Chicago, same situation. Now, what if Chicago needs to win to stay in second place? That's the concern. So it's going to be looking at my guess is the Chicago series will mean a lot more than one in Kansas City, only because of what Chicago's got going that last weekend, assuming Cleveland's in their bumper, King County or Lake Country, whoever you pick, and then they're not going to catch Milwaukee, but they want to stay number 2. And that's sort of where I'm thinking where that comes from. But again, I think you're right, Casey. That's the one thing that going forward does concern me. So great stuff today. Great questions. I'll take your last call here on questions. While we do that, we'll remind you about the broadcast tonight. Pretty excited about what we do on the broadcast as well. AA Baseball TV, which you can find a link on our website. On the website has a link to AA Baseball TV. Go to the top page of the website. On the top right side, it says broadcast. Click on it. It's got the link to both KSCJ and AA Baseball TV. That is up on our website currently, so you've got a way to get there. And then, of course, the radio side, which I am a huge fan of. We're so fortunate to have these folks as part of our family, and that is the good folks at KSCJ. They're PAL Broadcasting. We're a town that is small, close-knit town, and radio is a big deal here. And local radio is a big deal, and it's a huge deal for us. And we're really fortunate to be on the station here. What they do is great, and we're really proud of them, and they're hopefully proud of the work we're doing. Tonight, the broadcast, Steve Montgomery will catch us up what happened over the weekend. He'll also get us caught up on maybe his wish list. At some point, I've got 2 things to make up, and I don't know if I'm going to get them tonight or not. I know one of them I can get tonight is the interview of Heitor Tokar. Now, we interviewed Tokar on Saturday. Remember, we had the meltdown on the pregame show from the others. We had to issue the board. The board of the station had an issue. They got it fixed when we were on the air, and we were fine, but we missed the pregame. So to play you Tokar's interview, it's a little shorter, and I think it'll be good. And I want to cover – I was up last night up in the dunes having dinner, and this place I went to has a huge mural up at the Riverside Park. And they got the bar set up there and this huge mural. And I was thinking about the 1927 picture. But I want to tell the story more about the 1913 story. I was sitting there going, I want to talk more about what brought that ballpark in existence, because the 1913 fire in Sioux City that destroyed numerous businesses on the Missouri River. Remember, the team was playing at Riverside Park there on the Big Sioux, where the Big Sioux goes meandering toward the Missouri. And this is back before it was all, Army Corps of Engineers had done some of their work and rerouting and done things like that. The Big Sioux and the Missouri were very leisurely areas. It was not only a business area from the Missouri was a big business because that was shipping up and down the river between here and Omaha, and really going north too to a degree. Going south, shipping lumber and what have you down south. And then you had that. You also had recreation along the Missouri and in the Big Sioux back in those days. Riverside Park sits now to this day. Well, they moved the ballpark from Riverside to Missouri, Mizzou Ballpark. That ballpark burns down in 1913. In that process, they go back to Riverside playing temporarily for the part of the year. They build the new ballpark in 1914 back on the Missouri side. And that ballpark was the first one here made with steel and plaster and more workable than wood. And the city passes an ordinance, and I want to tell you that story tonight, how the city and the ballpark and how really things changed because of the fire of 1913. So I'll tell you that story. I had it on the game on Saturday, but you didn't hear much of it. So I'm going to re-rack that tonight and tell you more of that story as well. And then Bongo. So we got all that coming up tonight. So a lot of stuff for you folks that are here in Sioux City. You'll love to hear the story about 1913. We have a rich history of baseball here. Even the fact that we had 2 stretches one of 31 years and one of 7.5, 8 years where we didn't have professional baseball here. But this place has still got in our league. Not a lot of places that got the history we've got here, and we've got a lot of history here, and that includes the Ghosts, the Negro League team that played here. They've got a long history here. We haven't even scratched the surface on that yet. The Babe Ruth and the Lou Gehrig story when they came here in 1927. We haven't talked about that yet. So a lot to get to, and hopefully over the years we'll get to all this stuff. But anyway, last call here. What do I got here? Sorry, had this up for you guys. Can't even see here. I got glare here. Sorry about that. Tokar interview was fun. Did you add? Let's see. Did you add the listing page, the exit site? Yes. There's a broadcast page across the top banner of the website. It says broadcast. It was on there yesterday. Unless I did, let me know. So I can make sure it's there. Let's see here. Unless I didn't add it, but I could have not. Yeah, it's on there. There's a broadcast page. You click broadcast. You go down. It's got broadcast. It talks about. It's got a little blurb, and it's got a connection, a place to click there for KSCJ and A Baseball TV. Then it's got a bio of this guy, Dan Vaughn. I don't know anything about him, but he and Slider together. So there's that. So yes, it's on there. The Tokar interview. You got Tokar. This guy is happy, positive, loves baseball. And he has got a future when his playing days are over, I think, in this game, helping grow the game in his native Brazil and perhaps even in North America back and forth. He reminds me a lot of a couple of guys that I know in Australia who have taken on their role of helping grow the game when their playing days were over. I think he fits that role. I mean, especially in a place like Brazil that's probably got plenty of guys that can play the game if they had a chance. And he's really good and fun stuff. Let's see here. Yeah, Slider's got credibility. I don't have any credibility. I have absolutely no cred at all. All right, folks. Got to get out of here. Got to get the ballpark. Make sure that we're not that we're all good and everything's going well over there. Get you guys ready for the broadcast tonight. All right, X's and Fargo Moorhead. Should be an interesting series. These two teams match up well. They've all been fairly good games. And tonight is a 2 for Tuesday. Got to do that to box office, though. They're at Lewis and Clark. So go by there. That's 2 for Tuesday ticket there. So that deal going on right now, and they're standing by. Tomorrow, Thursday is tomorrow's hot dog night, the discount dollar dogs night, 2 for 1. We'll get to that tomorrow, okay? And then Thursday. We'll do all this tomorrow. All right. Nate Larson. Go X's, Sherry. There you go. You make me Nate. Poor Nate from Fargo, make him sad. I don't know if you can make Nate sad. He's a real stoic young man. It's Jack Michaels. The problem of the night's going to be Jack Michaels is here, who I love dearly. But we have the Sioux City Songbirds. You guys know who these guys are? Well, it's basically the press box crew minus me because I refuse to get involved in this. But it's Austin sees an open mic. He's like racing for it. He loves to hear some hymn. And he's a funny kid. He'll be singing. Mike Peck will be singing. Anybody else in the press box will all be singing tonight. They'll sing Sweet Caroline. And they're loud. And Jack Michaels is going to lose his ever-living mind. So I need to probably tell Jack in advance, Jack, 8th inning, be prepared. All right, guys. You guys ready to go? Go X's. Here we go. Yes, Josh is right. Yeah, Josh, you'll be up there, right? Josh? Yeah, he loves some. Yeah, I should warn him. I'll warn him. The Songbirds, by the way, warn him. The Sioux City Children's Choir. There we go. It's the Sioux City. That it could be it. Although Mike Peck's the tallest, the largest kid. Yeah. Yeah, Josh will be. I just mentioned you, Josh. Sorry about that. Yeah, Josh is there. Josh's tones you'll hear. He's probably the more. Josh is probably the best of all of them, but he doesn't like try to out sing each other. That's the bit. See, they're all trying to out sing each other, and so you got various forms of singing, in various forms of loudness, in various forms of keys, and they're all trying to out key and out sing each other, which means they're out keying each other. And Josh is probably the one that's pretty much steady. He's probably the guy we should probably feature as the solo artist, not the entire group. But you can get their CDs. There's a Love's Truck Stop just north of here up in Elk City. And if you go to Elk City, you go in there that Love's and you walk in the back. The CB antennas are, the orange jump vest are for the truckers to wear so they don't get hit. They're putting out on the side of the road. You've got those. There's also things like truck trash cans and those kind of little tidbits. There's that section. You've got the section of the trucker caps, the T-shirts that say South Dakota and Sturgis and all those things, the little caps. That's the other. Right behind there is a section that has CDs and DVDs. Well, that's where you'll find the Sioux City Songbirds. If they're available, that's where they'll be. And if you turn around, there's a gummy bears, and behind you is a little hot dog roller. That's going on too. So you got a lot going on. So anyway, yeah. What does Stino got? Where's the corruption in? Yes, Avatar of Micro. Yeah, we're nothing but corruption here, aren't we? That's us. All right, gang. I'll let you guys go. Let's do a 1, 2, 3, go X's. Let's get those Red Hawks tonight. Fargo. You betcha. Hey, you betcha. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go X's. I'll see you in the broadcast. Not everybody. Some of them doubled up. 12 actors. Yep. And I mean, I don't think any more than that gets a little crazy. Yeah, I don't want more than that, but I don't want less. Because we have a lot.